Troll 2, not Trolls 2, Troll 2, 1990. A vacationing family discovers that the entire town they're visiting is inhabited by goblins disguised as humans, not trolls, goblins disguised as humans who plan to eat them, in a place called Neilbog.
Neilbog! It's goblin spelled backwards!
Whoa, did you just say that it was goblin spelled backwards?
It's goblin spelled backwards! This is their kingdom!
Oh, this is a movie. I feel like it is almost an insult to even try to describe this as any of the movies we've seen before. I think it's an insult to all the movies we've seen before to even try to put this into the same format. This is a bizarre fever dream routinely throughout this entire film. I feel like this movie has forced me to unlearn any of the things I knew about social norms and how conversation and discourse and reality works. And a scene will happen and will tell me suddenly how reality works. That the way to seduce a young teenager looking for a lonely, horny woman in the woods is to walk into a trailer with a cob of corn and to kiss that man until the cord explodes. I've learned that when you walk around a table and you have 30 seconds to be able to figure out how to make people not eat food, the solution is not to remove the food from the people, but to urinate on all of the food.
I must do it! I must do it! Oh, Daddy, please!
Learn that when you're a father who's trying to discipline a son, you adjust your belt, not to urinate on the son.
And you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it!
What are you going to do to me, Daddy?
Tightening my belt by one loop so I don't feel hunger pains.
But to teach him a lesson about how you will all starve together. It's a fever dream that feels approximately 5 hours longer than it actually is. This is an experience, and it is one that I endured.
I went into it alone at first, and I actually fell asleep halfway through after the novelty worn off of how horrendously bad this movie was. And later on, my roommate came home. I suggested we restart the movie. We did. I enjoyed it a lot more. Like Michael said, it's very confusing. There are plots that are just mentioned and never referred to again. There is popped corn that is never... Like, we don't return to it to actually explain like what the implications of it were. I don't know how they messed up so bad.
They do it so confidently that it gaslights you. You want to believe they're going in the right direction. There's a scene where like the romantic interest of the teenage daughter, and they're both very compatible in the sense that neither of them really serve a point in this movie. The boyfriend sneaks into the room and he's like, "Don't you love me?" She's like, "No, I hate you." Then suddenly she talks about how she loves him.
Oh. Release your instincts in the bathroom.
Are you nuts? You trying to turn me into a homo?
Wouldn't it be too hard? I like you. But my family doesn't like you.
I feel like maybe I was the one that missed the social cues in this scene. And maybe the girlfriend was right. I feel like maybe I'm the one that wasn't paying enough attention and that the scene worked out in a normal way because they approach it with such confidence. And I think this is the reason why I feel gaslit. Is everyone in this movie knew what was going on besides me.
Every choice you see made in this film, you feel like the cast and crew were 100% behind. No matter what those choices were.
And the concept of this, air quote concept of this film, is that it's a foreign exchange program where the not goblin family goes to the goblin family's house, and the goblin family supposedly goes to the not goblin family's house. And the not goblin family goes to the goblin family's fridge, and it's like, this fridge is full of milk, this is abnormal. And then at the end of the film, they go back to their home where there is just a bowl of apples in the fridge. And they're like, reality, where there is just 7 apples in a glass bowl in my fridge.
It's delicious.
On the topic of food in this film, they also present several cakes that have writing on them at several different times. They look like the least appetizing cakes, and the words are written so poorly.
I thought you might enjoy one of my ancient recipes.
This movie's absolutely wild. This was not my first time seeing it, but yeah, it takes you for a trip, and it's the sort of thing where I love sharing this film and giving people no context. Because there's some things like just the popcorn scene and moments like that are only good just seeing it fresh. That you can't explain this film. The film can't even explain itself. You just have to see it. It bounces back and forth between being like so bad it's funny and just unwatchable that you're really not even sure where it lands. It exists in a reality on its own.
Okay, even going back to the very beginning of this movie, the choices that they make are so bizarre. Like, starting out with this, like, Robin Hood-esque figure in the woods, being chased down by goblins, being told by a grandfather in a way that's reminiscent of, like, Princess Bride. And the grandfather, for some reason, is really sinister sounding in everything he does, and he's shot very sinister, where it's, like, close-ups of his mouth, where you see him, like, rocking back and forth into frame.
And there's weird theological moments too. Like there's a moment where the grandson is like, grandfather, are you from hell?
But where did the grandfather come from? Like, what circumstances caused him to die and come back with godlike powers and so much knowledge about this goblin village?
Just pull up a chair. Just pull up, like, whoever you can, just to sit down and look at this train wreck. Look at this bus on fire together. You can't turn away. You just keep looking and just are both confused, so confused that you just break out into laughter. It's a fun time.
I would say if you are at this point of our podcast and you have not seen any of these movies, I would maybe say there are better uses of your time to get you into the Halloween spirit. But if you're just looking for a fun time and you're looking for something to confuse you and bewilder you and make you feel like maybe you have the wrong perception of reality and humanity and what choices should be made artistically and philosophically, this is the film for you. This film will surprise you every step of the way in both the best and worst possible ways.
I would recommend this film. I think because once you see it, you just think to yourself, well, I need someone to share this experience with. I can't have seen this alone in a vacuum. And for that reason, yeah, I would watch this film. I would, what do we call it?
Recommend?
Recommend.
You lost the word recommend?
I did.
Are you the script writer?
I'm very tired.
What a way to go to our, like, just, it's like a trilogy of movies that I feel like we just watched. We watched Coraline, we watched What We Do in Shadows, Troll 2. Two movies that I have basically no complaints about, and then Troll 2, where it's everything. It's wall to wall.
You have complaints about Troll 2?
I know. I feel like Troll 2 reaches a point where you can't complain about it.
Okay,
Trying to formulate complaints for Troll 2 within the medium of film critique is like trying to graph the recipe for mayonnaise. Like, they're on a completely different plane, and it's very difficult for me to be able to formulate what they're working on.
if you want my one critique, don't watch it alone. That's the one thing I would say. Is like, if you watch it alone, you're not gonna like this movie as much as it deserves to be liked. Holy cow, does it circle back around to being great. Anyway, that's been our episode, and yeah, next up we got Fright Night, which is a movie that the three of us haven't seen before, which is really exciting, just going in blind. Just tune in for that.
This might be...
Oh, go ahead.
I think this is the first film none of us have seen before.
I think so.
I think so. That's what's gonna make it really fun. We can all come together with our collective thoughts and first impressions. And so basically, come back and check it out. like and subscribe, and please share it with people. We really enjoy doing this, and we really enjoyed doing the opening for this episode, which was actually Meckel's idea. And glad we were
thank
able
you.
to pull it together. Anyway, we'll see you guys next
That's
time.
great.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.